Right, there are two separate albums on my Google site for you to go look at right now, which is where I'm filming this from for you. And it's just to further my point of how lime again turns everything into limestone. It's my main, I suppose it's become my main score, my main work, what I want to be remembered for. That when I say megaliths don't exist, I mean it. And this is part of that. We're mainly looking at sites in Turkey here. Right. So this is in Turkey there. And here, well, I suppose you can read that in your own time, so I will zoom in on what I've circled there for you. So when I show you a lot of this stuff normally, because this will have been 100% concrete, this entire site here, and normally it's the lime that gets sucked to the outside, isn't it? But in this case, for some reason, it's the sandstone from the concrete, the cement that's been sucked to the outside. That's not a crack and it's been shoved forward. It is literally a layer that is almost an inch or more thick, and it's formed an exact imprint of the decoration that's on this plinth, this top plinth here, of the pattern that's also on this limestone underneath. Now why it does that will obviously be for reasons such as the quality of the cement, you know, who makes it, the mix, or where the lime actually comes from, you know, which quarry, the quality of the lime. There's another one down here. This will, it's easier to see for you that the layer of the lime has actually pulled away. It's actually pulled free. Can you see that? You know, you can see a shadow even behind it, and it's just sandstone underneath. So that's just to prove everything that I've shown you a few times on my channel. Why it's the sandstone that's done it in this case, I'm not 100% sure, but there's no mistaking what we're looking at. So this is Pinara in Turkey, and I have made two videos about 2 years ago on this type of stuff. I've never shown you these. I don't think there's any images in this video that I've shown you before, but when I look at these things in particular, it looks like some type of skyscraper that's fallen sideways. And the reason why I say that is because when you look at these sections here, they are like a layer of 3 huge rebar sections that you would pour, you know, in the different levels of floorings into square sections like this, right? Archaeology, mainstream archaeology, will tell you that these were windows, you know, little square rooms that people lived in. You know, they didn't have the brains to just build a wooden or mud house on the surface, or live in a cave somewhere, a natural cave. They decided to just dig through the floor right down here and live in tiny square rooms and risk their own lives from drowning or being buried in this stuff, because it is just like mud. So if you started carving holes in it, it would render the site weaker and probably kill you and your family. But when you look at this stuff, it's on the next image, which proves that I'm right of what I'm saying here. Because there's areas, you will see an imprint of another square hole there that's actually filled in, and one there. Anywhere where there's a square hole missing, you are likely to see an imprint of a, you know, of a square hole, what they call a window, a house, a room, okay? Which proves everything I'm talking about. That these things were, you know, haven't been carved out, because that's been filled in with the exact same material as what this is. It's happened during the flood. This is in China, and I think this is no different. The only thing that pulls me back from thinking that is the fact that, well, all of them really have got these sculptures of these Buddhas inside, but most of them are actually set right back against the wall, so they could have been carved later. I think this is no different. but you can see what it's turned into now because it's the lime. The lime is so powerful, it does literally turn everything into limestone. Like if you place something, an item inside a lime cave and went back just decades later, you would be looking at, you know, at limestone, what you placed there, whatever it was. This is Japan, and I'm just giving you an idea of what this, you know, that stuff actually could have been. Obviously it was something bigger than this, like a skyscraper, but I'm just giving you an idea. This is in fact wood, but it will have had to have been iron or steel to build something so large, and pour so much concrete into it. Okay, this site is what they call the Lycian tombs, and I'll just say it straight off the bat before I show you the rest of the images. This stuff to me, I'll show you an image shortly that actually shows you that all these, what they call tombs, are in fact lopsided and facing all over the place. So to me it looks like that there must have been some type of Boxing Day event, a tsunami of mud, water, that came crashing through this valley and shoved all these wooden structures up into a pile, and all you're looking at is what survived on the outskirts, which have since been excavated. Right? And I will prove that shortly, because in this case I do think that we are looking at wooden structures. I know it looks the same as what I've just shown you, like the lime gets sucked to the outside and you're left with sandstone, but these are built in the exact same way, these roofs and these beams, as how they build wooden structures in China and Japan today, which I'm going to show you. So, like, these images are massive, you can go look at them. I mean, even that one there, if you can imagine the roof of a huge church, how it arches, but can you see, I mean, it's all been filled in, hasn't it, from all this substance and then hardened into mud rock. It almost looks like a roof of a huge building. So that's Japan, and that's how they built them. Yeah, and it's the exact same thing as what we've just been looking at, modern day China. These are modern, but you can see how they built these on the end, right on the edge of this mud, because that's all it is, which I think is more than likely what we're looking at here. And this is the Lycian tombs again, but it's a different zone, a different area. And yeah, so you can see how this stuff was built. It was built with wood, but it's just turned into what you see today from being buried, submerged and buried in sand for periods which must have been longer than what you can imagine. You know, I can't place a time limit on it, I don't know, I just know what I'm looking at. This image is the last one of this section, and these people must have been ginormous, because a 6'6" person can walk straight through that section there, that bottom section of that door. Right, it's just the second section of the video, the second album, and we're back in Pinara, Turkey, and I'm just giving you a quick example before I get on with the rest of the video, which won't take much longer. Yeah, so if you can imagine something like this, now this is wood, it's Japan again, so imagine something like this, built from whatever, originally, whether girders or wood or not, right, but imagine something like this being submerged in the ocean and being covered with sand, and you would end up, you know, with something like what I've just been showing you. Right, the rest of the video is all on this site here. It's in Turkey, and it's what they call Mount Nemrut. Many of you have been asking me to have a look at this for you, so that's what we're doing now. This is a modern day lime quarry, yeah, where they will send machines and grind it up to make concrete for us. Right, this is the North Terrace, looking out over this entire valley. And we'll get to that after. This is at the back of the site that I'm going to show you now, and it all looks like this. What this is, right, like when you look at modern day lime quarries, they've got these machines that they call crushers, and they grind it all up into little fine particles like this, yeah, you know, of different sizes to make concrete with, right? Because that's what this site looks like. Now, I don't want to sound crazy when I say this. I don't know which it is. I don't know if this site has completely eroded away after the flood, which goes against everything I've told you so far, that during the flood the concrete solidified into limestone or sandstone, whereas this place, if it indeed is a pre-flood site, why has it all corroded in the exact same way that modern sites, you know, do today? That's the reason why they knock them down, because concrete we make doesn't last much longer than 50 years. It all crumbles and fails in this way, and that's exactly what's happened to this site. So I don't know. Hold on. So that's modern day lime quarry, and that's these machines that grind this stuff up and they make concrete from it, okay? Right, that's the site, a top view of Mount Nemrut in Turkey, and this is known as, in mainstream circles, as the largest man-made mound in the world. They think that people came here with baskets and emptied all this on this pile, but this pile is actually 3 times bigger than this. It's all this as well, right? Now, I can give you 2 or 3 paradigms here. The obvious one is that this completely corroded away and failed in the way that our buildings do, right? That's made out of concrete in modern times. That's the obvious one. Because when you look at that, I mean, what is that circle doing there? As this top section here, was this at its peak, and as all this failed, all this stuff rolled down here and has since been built by archaeologists? Or in the past, was this an entire site and they came here and used it as a lime quarry and completely grinded all this old city away at some point in the past, which I can't place, and just completely ground up all this ancient concrete? I don't know which it is. They're both feasible, I can tell you, but I don't think that they built it in these blocks, right? I think this has been done by archaeologists. When they rebuilt this site, they will have carved these down with chainsaws or whatever machines in big enough pieces to be able to rebuild this site. These will have been solid pieces at one time, and when you look at this stuff, it looks exactly the same as the concrete in Baalbek, because yes, those blocks at Baalbek were not carved from some quarry, right? They were made from concrete. I don't want to get into that. I've made 2 videos on it, and if anyone's doubting it out there, then take a look at that nose there. You can see all the little, you know, the smaller pieces of grime, yeah, that they put into the concrete mix. Unless there's, because I can tell you, if there's any builders out there now, right, that have worked with concrete, or just anybody really, do you think natural stone would crack in this way? Right, because if it did, the entire earth, you know, we would all be walking on rubble by now. It's because it's man-made and it's failed over time. It's concrete, it's ancient concrete. That's what you're looking at. So for all those people still thinking that this site was carved from some quarry, you know, these heads, these things, these statues were carved in one piece. This one image and these images that I'm going to show you now completely blow that out of the water. But archaeologists have since knocked those obvious pieces away and smoothed it out to try and make it look rock carved, but they can't hide the cracks that show what it was built with originally. These images are massive. You can zoom right in on them, okay? these things, you know, just because we see, because our historical narrative has built their entire paradigm on artifacts such as this. You know, that the people at those times were wearing these types of uniforms, but they weren't. It's just classical artwork like what we put. You know, I mean, we do this in London, in France, anywhere in the world. It's classical artwork. We're not wearing this stuff today, and they weren't wearing it back then, is what I'm getting at. Yeah, so that's Troy and the story of Troy. I don't believe any of it. I mean, do I believe that those people at Troy were stupid enough to allow this type of thing to be shoved into their city? And if I was part of the attacking force, would I dare put myself in here to be dragged out and tortured? No, I wouldn't.